I never thought I'd find myself here, facing down the county sheriff, two building inspectors, and the entire town council on my front lawn. But when they tried to take everything I'd worked for, I did the only logical thing left. I declared war. Well, not exactly war. I declared independence. I'm being perfectly reasonable. According to international law, I'm standing in the sovereign territory of the Free Republic of Rinaldia, and you're currently attempting an unauthorized border crossing. 6 months ago, I was just an ordinary homeowner with a mortgage and a vegetable garden. Now I'm the president, Supreme Court, and entire military of my own country. This is the story of how they tried to seize my land and how I declared it a sovereign nation. That's when everything changed. A notice from the County Planning Commission about rezoning for community development and eminent domain considerations. Buried in 6 pages of legal jargon was the simple truth. They wanted my land, and they were changing the rules to get it. But they can't just change the zoning like that, can they? My property was grandfathered in under the old regulations. The Community Development Initiative was approved last month. The new mixed-use designation affects all properties in your area. Your current structures don't meet code requirements, and those outbuildings would need to be demolished. But that's my workshop. I run my business out of there, and the greenhouse has been there for 30 years. You have 3 options. Bring everything up to the new code at your expense, sell the property to the county at the assessed value, or face daily fines until you comply. The assessed value was barely half what the property was worth. The renovations would cost more than I could possibly afford. And the daily fines would bankrupt me within months. I spent weeks looking for a way out, called every lawyer in the phone book. Most wouldn't even take my case. The one who did wasn't exactly encouraging. Look, I understand your frustration, but the county's operating within their legal rights. The zoning board hearing is mostly a formality at this point. There has to be something, some precedent or loophole. I'll be honest with you, I've fought the county on cases like this before. They have the resources to drag this out until you can't afford to keep fighting. I'm sorry. That's when I fell down the rabbit hole. I was searching for how to fight eminent domain when I stumbled across something completely different, something crazy, something that just might work. Wait, what if I don't need their permission at all? That's when I discovered there are over 400 self-proclaimed micronations in the world. Tiny self-declared sovereign states, from the Principality of Sealand to the Republic of Malashia, right here in the United States. Most are dismissed as quirky hobbies or publicity stunts. But the more I researched, the more I realized there was actual legal precedent here. International law defines a sovereign state as having 4 elements: a permanent population, a defined territory, a government, and the capacity to enter into relations with other states. I didn't need the county's permission. I didn't need anyone's permission. I just needed to declare independence. If they want to fight, I'll give them a war, a diplomatic one. First, I needed to understand exactly what makes a nation legitimate. The Montevideo Convention of 1933 lays out the criteria: permanent population, defined territory, government, and capacity to enter relations with other states. I had the first 2 covered. My property has clear boundaries, and I've lived here for years. The other 2? That's where things got interesting. I stayed up 3 nights straight drafting a constitution, 27 pages of the most beautiful legalese you've ever seen. I established 3 branches of government, all staffed by me, of course, and crafted a Bill of Rights that would make the Founding Fathers weep with joy. Next came the flag. You can't have a country without a flag. I chose green for the land, blue for the creek that runs through the property, and gold for prosperity. My workshop skills finally came in handy for something other than fixing the porch. Currency was trickier. I settled on the Reynolds dollar, backed by the natural resources of my nation, mostly tomatoes from my garden and maple syrup from the trees out back. The hardest part? Setting up the border. I spent a weekend hammering posts around the entire perimeter. 5 acres doesn't sound big until you're marking every foot of it. I hung the flag, posted laminated copies of my Declaration of Independence, and installed a mailbox labeled Department of Foreign Affairs. My neighbor Ted thought I'd finally lost it. Ted, I'm dead serious. The county's trying to bulldoze my workshop for some mixed-use development project. You know, they've been trying to get that shopping center built for years. Exactly. And they're using these new zoning laws to force people to sell. So you're what? Seceding from the union? Not the union, just the county. Think of it as a creative legal maneuver. Ted didn't get it then, but he would soon. I mailed formal declarations of independence to everyone: the mayor, county commissioners, governor, State Department, and United Nations. Used certified mail so they couldn't claim they never received them. Cost me a fortune in postage, but a proper diplomatic mission requires proper protocols. Most of them probably tossed the letters straight into the trash. But that didn't matter. The paper trail is what matters. Then I launched the website. Rinaldia.gov was taken, obviously, so I settled for freerepublicofrinaldia.com. Added all the official documents, national symbols, and a tourism section highlighting the natural beauty of our green spaces. 2 days later, I got my first response. A form letter from the county saying they acknowledged receipt of my correspondence. That was it. No recognition, no negotiation offers, just bureaucratic brush-off. But I'd expected that. Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither was Rinaldia. The local paper called next. Apparently, declaring independence is slow Newsweek material. This has got to be a joke, right, Mr. Reynolds? The county's attempt to seize my property through manipulative rezoning is the real joke here. I'm simply responding to their overreach. You're saying the county is acting illegally? I'm saying they're acting unjustly, and I'm exercising my right to self-determination. The article came out the next day. Local man declares independence over zoning dispute. Page 4, below a story about a prize-winning pumpkin. But it was a start. That's when the emails began. First from local property rights groups, then from libertarian forums, then from other micronation enthusiasts around the world. Even got a formal diplomatic greeting from the Kingdom of West Arctica. Turns out there's a whole community of people who've done exactly what I was doing. And that's when I realized this wasn't just about saving my property anymore. This was about standing up for something bigger. 3 weeks after my declaration, they came. 2 county vehicles, a police cruiser, and a building inspector with a clipboard and an attitude. Mr. Reynolds, we're here to perform a code compliance inspection. I was ready for them, had been practicing for this moment. I'm afraid you'll need to request an appointment through proper diplomatic channels. This is sovereign territory. This is county land, sir, and you're in violation of multiple ordinances. I respectfully disagree. And unless you have a warrant recognized by the Free Republic of Rinaldia, I'll have to ask you to retreat behind the border. The building inspector tried to step forward. I raised my hand. I need to warn you that crossing this border without authorization would constitute an international incident. They laughed. That's when I pulled out my phone and started recording. For the record, I'm formally requesting that representatives of the county government respect the sovereign boundaries of the Free Republic of Rinaldia. Any unauthorized entry will be documented and reported to the appropriate international authorities. The county sheriff, who'd been quiet until now, stepped forward. Look, Reynolds, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. With all due respect, Sheriff, are you threatening military action against a peaceful nation? Because that would make for an interesting headline. He didn't like that. But something in my tone must have given him pause. They huddled together, speaking in low voices. We'll be back with the proper paperwork, Mr. Reynolds. I look forward to reviewing your diplomatic credentials. They left, but we all knew they'd be back. That night, I posted the video online. County threatens small nation with force. It got 3,000 views by morning. Comments poured in. Stand your ground, Rinaldia. This is how government overreach happens, one property at a time. You're my hero, man. Wish I had the guts to do this. But not everyone was supportive. This guy's clearly delusional. Just pay your taxes like everyone else. Can't wait to shop at the new mall they build after they haul this guy away. I'd struck a nerve. People were taking sides. The next day, the local TV station called. They wanted to do a feature story. Then a popular libertarian podcast reached out. Suddenly, everyone wanted to know about the man who declared independence to save his home. But the real surprise came 3 days later, when a letter arrived with a foreign postmark. Inside was a formal certificate of recognition from the Principality of Sealand, one of the world's most famous micronations. They recognized Renoldia as a sovereign entity. It wasn't the United Nations, but it was something. According to the Montevideo Convention, the capacity to enter into relations with other states is a defining characteristic of sovereignty. I now had documentary proof. Ted showed up that afternoon with a six-pack. You're all over the internet, you know that? That's the plan. You really think this will work? It already is working. The county hasn't filed a single citation since I declared independence, and every day they delay is another day I keep my home. But Ted wasn't the only neighbor taking notice. Karen from 2 properties over was not happy about the attention our street was getting. There are strange cars driving by at all hours. People are stopping to take pictures of your... whatever this is. It's disrupting the neighborhood. I understand your concern, but my property values are at stake here, John. If you have a problem with the county, handle it like a normal person. That's exactly what I tried to do, Karen. They wouldn't listen. Karen wasn't convinced. And she wasn't alone. As the story spread, the community divided. Some neighbors brought food and offered support. Others filed complaints about the flags and signs. My mailbox overflowed with letters, some offering legal help, others containing barely veiled threats. Then the county changed tactics. Instead of confrontation, they sent a polite letter inviting me to a special session to resolve outstanding issues. Progress, finally. But when I arrived at the county building, I realized it was a trap. They'd invited the press, arranged the room so I'd be sitting alone at a small table facing the entire county commission on their elevated platform, a show of power. Mr. Reynolds, thank you for joining us today. We've invited you here to discuss a resolution to your unique situation. I appreciate the diplomatic outreach. The Free Republic of Renoldia is always open to peaceful negotiation, a ripple of laughter across the room. The commissioner speaking didn't smile. Mr. Reynolds, your Declaration of Independence has no legal standing. Your property remains subject to county regulations, property taxes, and zoning ordinances. I presented the certificate from Sealand, explained the Montevideo Convention criteria. They weren't impressed. This has gone far enough. The Community Development Initiative will proceed as planned. You have 30 days to bring your property into compliance or face enforcement action. I'd come prepared for this too. Before this meeting ends, I'd like to distribute copies of these documents to the commissioners and the press. Inside each folder, documentation of similar rezoning cases where counties had overreached and lost in court. Printouts of every email and letter I'd sent trying to resolve this before declaring independence. And, my ace in the hole, evidence that the county commissioner's brother-in-law owned the construction company that would be building the new development. The room went very quiet. I'm more than happy to discuss this further, perhaps in a more private setting. The meeting adjourned abruptly. I walked out of the county building to find a small crowd waiting, people with homemade signs, Stand with Renoldia, and Property Rights Matter. The local press swarmed around me. As I drove home, I realized something had fundamentally changed. This wasn't just my fight anymore. I'd become a symbol of something larger, the little guy standing up to the system. The problem? I wasn't sure I was ready for that responsibility. 2 days after the county meeting, I received a certified letter. The county was filing for an emergency injunction to have me removed from the property. The hearing was scheduled for next week. This was it. My quirky protest was about to collide with the full force of the legal system. If I lost, I'd lose everything. I called the attorney who'd originally refused my case. Now you need my help? After that stunt at the county meeting, I need someone who understands the law, not just the stunts. Her name was Lisa Rodriguez, and she didn't mince words. Your micronation strategy is creative, I'll give you that. But it won't hold up in court. No judge is going to recognize the Free Republic of Renoldia. I don't need them to recognize Renoldia. I just need them to recognize that what the county is doing is wrong. She sighed, that lawyer's sigh, the one that says, I'm going to regret this. The filing fee is $3,000. My retainer is another $5,000. I didn't have $8,000, didn't have anything close to it. But I had something else. The media attention on my case had attracted unexpected support. A property rights organization had reached out, offering to cover legal expenses if I'd let them use my story in their campaign. A popular crowdfunding site had a Save Rinaldia campaign with almost $12,000 in donations. People I'd never met were investing in my battle. I hired Lisa, and for the first time since this all began, I felt the weight shift slightly. I wasn't alone against the system anymore. But as the hearing approached, doubts crept in. What if we lost? What if this whole micronation strategy backfired? What if I ended up not just losing my property, but facing criminal charges for impeding county business? The night before the hearing, Ted came over, found me sitting on my porch, staring at the flag of Rinaldia fluttering in the evening breeze. Having second thoughts? More like 15th thoughts. What if I'm just making everything worse? You know what my father used to say? Sometimes you have to be willing to lose everything to keep what matters. Your father sounds like a fortune cookie. He was a stubborn old man who fought the power company when they tried to run high-tension lines through his farm. Took it all the way to the state Supreme Court. Did he win? No. But they rerouted the lines around his property, cost them an extra $1 million. Sometimes a partial victory is still a victory. The morning of the hearing, I woke to find something unexpected. A line of cars parked along my road. People with lawn chairs and coolers settling in like they were tailgating. Signs and banners hung from some of their vehicles. Honk for Rinaldia and don't tread on him. My email had dozens of messages from micronation enthusiasts around the world, offering advice and support. The Kingdom of West Arctica had issued a formal statement condemning the county's aggression against a peaceful neighbor nation. As I put on my one good suit, my presidential attire as I now thought of it, I realized something important. Even if I lost today, I'd change the conversation. People were talking about property rights, about government overreach, about the human cost of development. Lisa met me at the courthouse steps. I hope you're ready for this. The courtroom's packed. She wasn't exaggerating. Every seat was filled. County officials on one side, supporters on the other. The local press in force, even a camera crew from a regional news network. The judge, an older woman with steel gray hair and piercing eyes, brought the room to order. Before we begin, I want to make something clear. This court will not be entertaining arguments about the sovereignty of, what are you calling it? The Free Republic of Rinaldia, Your Honor. Right, this is a county planning and zoning matter and will be treated as such. My heart sank, but Lisa seemed unfazed. We understand, Your Honor. Our argument doesn't rely on Mr. Reynolds' Declaration of Independence, but rather on the county's failure to follow its own procedures in the rezoning process. For the next 2 hours, Lisa methodically dismantled the county's case, not with arguments about micronations or sovereignty, but with boring, technical details about notification requirements, environmental impact studies, and procedural violations. The county attorney seemed caught off guard. He'd prepared to fight a battle against a quirky homeowner with delusions of nationhood, not a detailed procedural challenge. At one point, Lisa presented evidence that the county had changed the zoning map before the public comment period had legally closed. Your Honor, the county didn't just rush this process, they actively circumvented it. Mr. Reynolds and his neighbors were denied their legal right to contest these changes. The judge's expression gave nothing away. When both sides had finished, she spoke. I'll take this under advisement. My ruling will be issued within 10 days. 10 days. 10 more days of uncertainty. 10 more days of wondering if I'd still have a home at the end of it all. Outside the courthouse, reporters pressed in. Mr. Haupt, Reynolds, if you lose this case, will you surrender your nation? The Free Republic of Rinaldia seeks peaceful relations with all its neighbors, including the county. But we will continue to defend our sovereignty through all legal means. It was a non-answer, but it was the best I could do. Truth was, I didn't know what I'd do if we lost. I returned home to find the crowd outside my property had grown. Someone had set up a grill and was cooking hot dogs. A local band was playing Liberty-themed songs. It had become a full-blown festival. For 9 days, I waited. The crowd thinned but never disappeared entirely. People came and went, offering support, sharing stories of their own battles with local governments. I received emails from people across the country fighting similar rezoning battles, asking for advice. On the 10th day, Lisa called. The judge has made her ruling. We need to talk. Lisa arrived at my house with a thick envelope and an expression I couldn't read. The judge issued a split decision. What does that mean? The emergency injunction was denied. The county can't force you off your property right now. I felt a surge of relief. But, and this is a significant but, she's ordered the county to restart the rezoning process from the beginning with proper notification and a full environmental impact study. This isn't over, John. It's just delayed. How long? 6 months minimum, probably longer. 6 months. 6 months to figure out a permanent solution. 6 months to fight another day. The county won't be happy. No, they won't. But legally, their hands are tied. As Lisa explained the details, I gazed out at my land, my nation, the workshop, the greenhouse, the maple trees my grandfather planted. All still mine, at least for now. The next morning, a new letter arrived from the county, a different tone this time. In light of the recent court decision and the significant public interest in this matter, the County Commission invites you to participate in a special community planning session regarding the future development of the area. Translation: we're taking a beating in the press. Help us save face. I wrote back, on official Republic of Renoldia letterhead, of course, accepting their invitation. The meeting was nothing like the ambush they'd set up before. This time, they seated me at the main table, alongside representatives from other properties in the affected area. The room was full of residents, many wearing small Renoldia flag pins someone had started selling online. The county presented a modified plan. The shopping center would be built, but on a slightly different location that would spare my property and several others. There would be infrastructure improvements, but with accommodations for existing structures. Most importantly, there would be a grandfathering provision for properties like mine. It wasn't perfect. I'd still face some new restrictions, and there would be construction noise and traffic for years. But my home would remain my home. My workshop would still be my workshop. When they asked for my response, I took a moment to consider. As the representative as a homeowner in this community, I appreciate the county's willingness to compromise. This revised plan addresses many of our concerns. After the meeting, the county commissioner approached me privately. That was quite a stunt you pulled, Reynolds. Caused us all a lot of headaches. Sometimes headaches are necessary to get attention for genuine problems. He chuckled, despite himself. I suppose they are. Just do me a favor and take down those border posts, will you? The tourism is creating traffic issues. I agreed to remove the more flamboyant elements of Renoldia's borders, but the flag stayed. Some things aren't negotiable. Over the next few weeks, life slowly returned to normal. The crowds dwindled. The media moved on to the next story. My inbox returned to its usual diet of spam and bills rather than diplomatic correspondence. But things had changed, too. The community had formed a property owners association, a real one, not just me in different hats, to monitor the development process and ensure the county kept its promises. 3 of my neighbors ran for county commission seats, campaigning on platforms of transparent governance and property rights. And me? I kept one small border marker at the edge of my driveway, a reminder of the brief, glorious existence of the Free Republic of Renoldia. Sometimes people ask if I regret it. The stress, the expense, the ridicule from some quarters. Was declaring independence really necessary? I tell them this. Sometimes the only way to be heard is to speak a language so unexpected that people can't help but listen. My micronation was never really about creating a new country. It was about saving my home, about standing up when the system tried to push me down. Did I actually believe I'd created a sovereign nation? Let's just say I believed enough to make others question their assumptions. Sometimes that's all it takes. The shopping center eventually broke ground half a mile away. The county adopted new notification requirements for rezoning, giving homeowners more time to respond. And I still get mail addressed to President Reynolds, occasionally, which always makes me smile. As for Renoldia itself, well, nations are funny things. They exist because people believe they exist. And somewhere out there, people still believe in the Free Republic of Renoldia, a tiny nation born from necessity and sustained by the simple human desire to protect what's yours. In the grand scheme of things, it was just 5 acres of land with a house and some outbuildings. Not worth much on the global stage, but it was mine, and sometimes that's enough to fight for.